Hey, guess what? We've got a 3406B cat motor here. So you're probably wondering, what are we going to do with it? We'll find out soon. But what we got to do to this thing is the jakes need to be rebuilt. We're putting new injectors in it. We're putting a new harmonic balancer in it because a rubber in it is actually got some cracks in it. Doesn't look very good. Let's get that figured out. We got a new flywheel, new clutch, new pilot bearing. The back seal between the engine and the bell housing is kind of leaking along, so we're going to remove that, fix that. The oil pan's got a hole in it. I am going to weld it all up with aluminum, plate it, get it all cleaned up so hopefully it doesn't leak, and then we'll put it back on. We also have a turbo for this thing too, and a few other things. But as far as what's it going in, well, you'll see. I don't know about you guys, but that's the most interesting looking turbo I've ever seen. Coolant turbo. That's the water pump off that 600 bud. He's got to pull it apart, get some seals off of it, numbers, and then we'll get that figured out.
There we go. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay, mine's out.
Mine's out.
Oh, it's got to go down further. Okay, I was thinking it could just drop right down and then...
Not far end. Okay, go ahead. Down around the oil pump and then out. You want it? There you go.
All right, this is what it looks like. There's cracks right here in the center, or right down by the oil pan, and they're pushed inward. So that means either they decided to jump the railroad tracks and the railroad tie came up and smacked and hit this little spot here, or they took a hammer and was really happy and was having a great day and smacked the side of it. I don't know what they did, but they smeared a bunch of stuff right here to kind of stop it from seeping. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean all this nice, wonderful gasket stuff, maker, peel it all off, tar. It doesn't feel like tar, it's definitely rubber. And clean that up really well. I've got a little piece of aluminum here that I'm going to clean up as well, and then I'm going to bust out this aluminum welder and practice with it, because it's been about a year and a half, 2 years since I've last welded with aluminum welder. And I don't know about you guys, but welding with aluminum is a very, well, let's just say there's finesse. Do I have that? Some days, probably not today. But you got to make sure your aluminum is very clean because it's very porous. It likes to suck in contaminants. And if you don't clean it very well and you're welding on it and you don't push your weld and get the gas in there, argon I think is what, or is it? Yeah, I think it's argon is what I have. You can have problems with contaminants getting there, pop, like little air pockets getting in there, and then what happens is you don't seal it very well and it leaks. So it's very, very crucial that you do a clean job. Right, Brian?
Absolutely.
He says absolutely. All right, let's clean up this oil pan first, and then I'll practice with that aluminum welder, and we'll go down. Now looking at it after I cleaned it up, there's a slight crack here on the edge of the corner that goes down, and you can just barely see it. So I'll have to put a bead across that part there. And then right here, you can definitely tell it just kind of got hit, pushed inward, and there's a good crack there. And then when I get that done, I'll flip it over, clean the inside, and weld from the inside as well. So there'll be 2 layers, and hopefully it'll stop any leaks. Get it? Got it? Good. I think it looks pretty clean. All right, let's play with this aluminum welder. Now, how I have this set up is I bought this on Craigslist years and years and years ago for 300 bucks. And we've got this old Hobart welder. This is my first welder that I learned on. And I have it set up where I can use that spool gun using that power plant to do cool stuff with that aluminum wire. Get it? Got it? Awesome. All right. Move this stuff out of the way. Get a little extra room to work with. And this is going to take me a while to figure it out, so we'll go from there. I don't know if you can see this very well. So if you look right here, there's a crack that goes right there to that point and to here and over to here. So if I clean that up really well and then weld it from the inside and with all the weld on the outside, I'm not going to grind off anything. I'm going to paint it and it's going to look great. And a farmer did it. So it's going to be certified by a farmer. And if it leaks, I'm blaming Nick.
It's stuck on there. It's a good one.
Good?
They use the good stuff. That's for sure.
Wait, do they make good stuff?
Great stuff. Isn't that what stuff you use? A great, what's that? What's it called?
Great stuff.
Great
yeah.
stuff.
That's my stuff to go to.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
There we go. This is what I want right here. So by rights, when you're doing aluminum, you don't really want to use a steel brush on aluminum. You really want to use stainless steel, but I don't have stainless steel brushes right now, so we're using steel. For those welders out there, I apologize right now for not doing it correctly. You're just gonna have to deal with it though. All right, so I got something to show you, and this is hideous welding. This is what we're looking at. Isn't that just pretty? So here's the deal. And this is what Brian and I were just talking about. As I'm welding one crack, the heat is trying to... It's too hot one spot, so it starts cooling, and aluminum doesn't like to, well, flex as much. It likes to crack. So because this side here has been so compromised, something hit it, there's hairline fractures through the side of the pan that you can't tell and you don't know it's there. So as I'm heating one spot and welding it, then it starts to pull, and where those fracture points are, it really starts to, well, you get the idea, keep cracking. So I'm just chasing cracks all around on this thing. I don't know, guys. We'll figure it out. Figure it out. Keep chasing them. It is compromised. What do you guys think? Think we need to find a different oil pan? Or do I can just keep chasing these cracks and hopefully we get it sealed? I don't know, guys. At first I was like, oh shoot, that's not going to be hard to fix. I'm starting to rethink that. Yeah. I don't know, guys. What do we do? I'm gonna go online and see how much an oil pan cost. I was a little late. He put the bell housing on without me. In my defense, Nick needed to help move kitchen cabinets from down in his basement all the way upstairs into his kitchen for some crazy reason. He's like, hey, could you help me? And I let this guy just be alone, you know? He probably liked it, actually.
It was quiet.
He probably likes it being quiet. Anyways, did you get the rear main seal on, or is it just
No, that's next after
Okay.
this. Yep.
Did you put some goop on here?
Yep. Just a little bit of aviation sealant, they call it.
Okay.
Yep.
Smear it back on there. We'll face this for the front. I know you want to try that 1-inch impact. Oh, yeah. Now you're probably wondering, why are we taking off the valve covers? A couple of reasons. The Jakes aren't really that great. They need to be rebuilt. And the other reason is, I'm not sure if you guys know a company called PDI Diesel. Well, we got injectors for them. They're bigger, they're more mean, and they're meant for this motor right here. So, and the other thing that's nice, we got a nice, beautiful big turbo from PDI Diesel. And a harmonic balancer. So we're gonna slap those injectors in here, rebuild the Jakes, get everything to the right tolerances, and we'll start running this tomorrow probably. Although we have a problem with the oil pan. We're looking for one. We'll get one figured out. It just comes straight up.
Yep. Should be an O-ring or two underneath. Just like so. That's the O-ring that feeds it right there. Or that's where the oil comes into the Jake brake, and that O-ring seals
Feeds the whole thing.
pretty flat.
So you got to take the stop riser off too?
No, we don't actually.
Use like a slide hammer to pull it out?
It's a whole lot of special involved here.
So I do have to...
You got cores?
I gotta keep these, yes. Now is this little screw here, is that where you line it up?
Nope.
It just
It
slides right
just
in?
goes in, yeah. The fuel all comes in through the top.
So it doesn't matter which way.
Doesn't matter which way it goes. Technically, you're not supposed to have to line them up, but everybody does because they've done research that says that it helps flow.
Which makes sense.
It does, absolutely. So this one does have to be rotated a certain way for these flats to fit into this adapter, like that.
Ah.
Yep.
So this PDI diesel injectors right here, I think this little engine's going to be happy. It's going to like them. Not saying that it didn't run good before. It ran pretty good, but newer, healthier, bigger injectors are always fun. So I'm going to put those in. Oh, they do look pretty. Hopefully that's the last time I'll ever see those. Because that means that truck's going to be running good for a long time, I hope. Cool. Just gotta replace a couple of those, fix the Jakes, and go from there. It should be off.
Yep.
Just gotta pull it towards you up a little bit. There we go. So that tool just removes the nut, correct?
Yep, just the cap. Yep.
The cap. So it's actually not called a nut, it's a cap?
It's a cap. Yep.
But isn't it technically a nut? No, I guess
it has no flat sides.
I guess so. I guess it is a cap.
It's a cap.
Okay.
Yep.
Does it have the ring on it?
Yep, that one came out.
Okay. So if you look at this harmonic balancer on this 3406B cat motor, you can see that the rubber in here is kind of being pressed out a little bit right here. It's time to change it. So we went ahead, and PDI Diesel offers a harmonic balancer, which actually is a whole lot nicer than the one that's on it because it's all enclosed, meaning that rubber that you see right here can never pop out. They got a cap here and a cap on the other side. I like it. I really do like it. So, I guess I'm gonna take this one off and put the PDI Diesel harmonic balancer on and use this as a really fun frisbee with Nick, you know? Toss it back and forth. I don't know about you guys, but it looks like this front seal is seeping a little bit. I'm gonna make a phone call real quick. Just see. Or maybe I'll just leave it. I don't know. It's not leaking horrendous, just seeping. It's a farmer and me talking. So, something I want to talk about here. This transmission, it's an 18-speed Eaton Fuller. The shop that I got the clutch for, he's like, you know, since you're already in there, you should just go ahead and get yourself a new, I think this is called a fork, that pulls the clutch assembly free when you put your pedal down. So I got a new one of those, and then he's like, you should get new bushings, and you might need new pins to go with it. I was like, I don't think I'll need new pins, but I'll take the bushings and the fork. Never mind. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this pin has got a big, nasty channel-looking groove cut into it. And when I went to try to move the fork, it was like stuck. It did not want to move. Somehow, shifting that truck, driving around, never noticed it. But I went ahead and put the new bushings in. Here's the old bushings. So one side, you probably can't tell on the camera, but one side is super thin. The other side's pretty thick. And so yeah, put some new bushings in it. And we'll have to get some new pins for that. And then next step is we will put the clutch assembly on the back of this motor here. Right there. And then when we get the pins for that transmission, put that on here. And since we pulled the motor and transmission out of the red or blue truck all in one, I'm pretty sure we can do the whole unit into the new truck all in one. So I think I'm going to just put the transmission on this, and then we'll use a crane, put it in. But before I do that, clutch and then my alignment tool to get the clutch plates aligned. You guys are going to love this. It's a big old steel shaft from another transmission we cut off. Don't worry, the transmission was junk. But that's not. So when you do this, put all your clutch packs and assembly and everything on, that, bolt it all up, pull the shaft out, and this is what they call like a key. That way it's all aligned. So when you're putting the transmission on, you're not fighting it. That's That's the key. Not to try to fight things. But yeah, let's go ahead and put that thing on now. Quickly, just to show you when I'm talking about a heavy-duty clutch. Here's one of the clutches off of the old engine. You see how there's only 4 pads on this side. Granted, when you flip it, pads on that side too. Look at how many they got on this thing. Oh yeah, more surface area to grab and put power to the ground and twist drive lines and stuff. Huh, Dad?
Yes, whatever Nick says.
Right. Whatever Nick says, he's the boss. What we're gonna do, I've got a bolt here that I took on the lathe and quickly just took off the end of it, as you can tell. So it's kind of like a roll pin, dowel pin, centering pin, whatever you want to call it pin. Screw it in the flywheel, and then that way when we put this clutch assembly up on there, it helps centers it to the flywheel, and we're not fighting to try to get the bolts in the holes. This baby's heavy, kind of like me. But this thing's more of a brute than me, so it's going to take a little bit to get it on. Now we have that pin right there, which is actually out of a transmission. That is our splines, our keyway to match this up to go in there. Got it? Okay, let's put it on. Let's tilt this up a little bit.
Then we have to put the shaft in and line the clutch up.
No, I'll take that first one out. Now, which way did you pull that off?
Like this.
Okay. That wasn't too bad. Oh. And we are back. We're waiting on some parts, but Brian, he's here today. He's going to help me tackle this thing, or I think I'm going to help him. All right, you're probably wondering, what is this thing? It's a brand new oil pan. Yeah. Yep. I know. I tried to weld it, and I could not stop the cracking, no matter what I did. Cracks everywhere. So we made the decision to get a new oil pan. This is an aftermarket pan. Truck dealer next to me, not far from me, had one, and I just drove over and got it. So we're gonna put this one on, and then we gotta finish the jakes, and then run the overhead rack assembly, all that good stuff. There's so many different terms for that, and I get in trouble every time I say it, but that's okay, that's cool. And then after we get that done, then we should be able to clean this up a little bit and throw some paint on it, I hope. And then we'll find leaks later on after it's nice and shiny in paint. It's all good. That's the way how it works.
Did you sign the flywheel?
No.
Dude, that's where you're supposed to sign it.
No, I did it there.
Yeah. That's
proof.
not going to be there
I know.
when you come back.
That's the beautiful thing about it. Doesn't matter. You glue all these together then, right?
Yeah, you glue it. Like, I'm just making sure I have all the right pieces, and then I'll spray them down and set them in place, and then stick them to the pan. And then when it's time to go up under there, we put a little bit of silicone on each one of these joints, just to help.
Yeah. Now, what about the top plate? We had to put the top plate on first, right?
Yeah, so we got to do the same thing again.
That sucks.
Yep. Yeah, but it's the same gasket, and we use more pieces of it on that one.
Well, I think you're talented enough, you could try to flip that motor over with your crane. Work from the top. That would be nice.
Sweet. All right. All right, let's go. So are you all the way up there?
I can't fit. Does the old oil pan have these weird round edges on it? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. It does not.
Brian here told me we're running the rack. Or the overhead. Or the things that go back and forth. So he's got a little sweet tool here that you can just literally go right on the side of the bell housing next to the starter. And it's got a little gear that goes onto the flywheel gear. And you can crank the engine over like that. Apparently he doesn't like the idea of me just putting a bar in this transmission and just rotating it until I get the engine turned over. But we don't want to fire it up like that. That'd be a bad day. No, we couldn't fire it up anyways. It doesn't have fuel. Silly Brian. But anyways, yeah, so what we're going to do is he's probably going to tell me what to do and stand aside and not touch anything, and then he'll rotate it and he'll adjust everything, and I'll watch and look pretty. I like it. I like it, Brian.
All right.
But the oil pan's on. We did have to do something different, by the way. Didn't get on camera because I kind of forgot, to tell you the truth. But this oil pan has little pieces here that stick down. The original oil pan, that thing, it's got a flat deal. So the bolts didn't match, so we had to find some different bolts. But that's nothing crazy. But anyways, look at him. So Brian, what are you looking for?
So we're looking to try and get either top dead center on number 1 or number 6. And this pin, this automatic pin is going to go into a hole in the flywheel.
So this has got a spring?
Spring-loaded pin, yep.
So how does it know what's number 1 and number 6?
You'll have to look at the valves.
So you're watching the valves to see which ones are closed. So like, for example, they usually do on almost every motor that I know of. The first one on the very front would be number 1. Then you go to 6, obviously, okay? So what he's looking for is, you see these two valves right here? When both of them are closed and that pin pops in, that's top dead center. That means the piston's all the way up, ready to explode with the fuel going in. And then what he's trying to achieve is when he gets that, then he goes in the charts, and then they have a certain way of saying, okay, let's just say 1 and 3, you got to adjust the exhaust on that. 2 and 4, the intake. Maybe 5, you can adjust both of them. And so there's a certain order, because you don't want to have the piston going down with the valve activated and you can't adjust that valve. Get what I'm saying? It's kind of a certain technique. Now, what do they call it? Valve lash? Is it valve lash?
That's what we're setting, is the valve lash.
Setting the valve lash.
Yeah, that's the gap. Valve lash is the gap between the rocker arm and the cross head.
Right. Yep. So he'll take a feeler gauge, and if I had to guess, probably 18 thousandths, 15 thousandths, depending on what the book says, 8 thousandths.
I gotta look it up. I don't remember.
And then he'll take that feeler gauge, slide it underneath the rocker arms, and then he'll try to get that valve lash to be within spec. Got it? Makes a lot of sense, right?
There it is. It does have the hole in it. Woohoo!
He doesn't know that I just drilled a hole randomly. The timing's going to be great. We got to figure it out. See, this is my college. This is my schooling, because I didn't go to college. I didn't learn that kind of stuff. So Brian here, we're paying him for me to learn stuff from him so that he can be out of a job when he comes here, because he probably won't have to come here. No. We want him to arrive here because he makes things work. And it's nice. Love it. Love it. Love it.
That one seems about okay. That might be a little open. That one's way loose, but it's not loose.
Brian.
Yeah, they're...
This truck ran like a champ.
Really?
It had a little bit. You could feel a little slight power loss, but...
So, okay, so you complained about the Jake brakes not working?
Yeah, they didn't work
very well, not very powerful?
Yeah, they sucked.
That's probably a biggie right there.
Yeah, it was due.
Yep.
It was due. We don't really use this truck that much, so that's why we're like, it's running. Don't touch it. Now we're touching it. Brian, that's poor maintenance on the farmer standpoint. I blame Dad this time, not Nick. Now here's a question: do they have a hot and cold? So if the engine's warm,
well,
check them again.
Okay, so that's where manufacturers all differ in that department. So and it even differs within the own manufacturer. So this era of engine, their specifications say sitting cold. If you can put a feeler gauge of this range in there, you're fine. But if it's too big or too small, then you adjust it.
Okay.
So that's the thing. Now other manufacturers say it's 30 thousandths and it's 30 thousandths. That's it. And that's
even when it's hot or cold?
No,
that's
just when it's cold. And then the hot setting of these has been kind of a roller coaster on whether it's been good or bad on how to do that or not. And again, it's by manufacturer that some of them say, yes, you should do it hot. And others say, no, you should only do it cold.
This is probably one of the easier ones I've done since it's not in the truck.
You recommend pulling it out of the truck first to do it, right?
We prefer it that way.
So Brian just told me, and this is for all you viewers out there, that it's best if you want to set your valve lash on any motor, pull the motor out of the vehicle or the rig or the tractor, put it on the floor, set it, then put it back in. More convenient for them.
Oh, yeah, so much easier.
Yeah, you got it, Brian. We'll do that.
So I like Cummins, when you set certain injectors in Cummins, you set them with the tool. I think it's 5 foot-pounds, I think is what the tool is. And I don't know if it says it in the book, but some guys say that they use it to set the valves too. So when you tighten that down, it's only 5 foot-pounds. It's very light, and it's like the right setting for doing.
So you put the tool in there, you tighten it to 5 foot-pounds on the tool,
tighten it down, done. Some guys say that works really well.
Honestly,
I think it's a
would
great
say
idea.
that would be pretty accurate. Because then you're taking out any slop that could be in the push rods or the cam.
And it's not too tight.
Right.
Yeah.